Shalom. First off, I'd like to give an all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai. Yahweh, who the world doesn't really calls God, in the name of Yahushai, who the world doesn't really calls Jesus Christ. Secondly, I'd like to give a double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who continue to teach us this truth. And a salutations to you, Akim, out there doing the work of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, sincerely. All right. Now, this lesson is going to be more of a health-driven lesson. And it comes from inspiration of pretty much during the time that this air quality due to the so-called smoke conditions and the wildfires in Canada, I developed some sort of some sort of lung, kind of like a lung infection, and just very light, a lot of phlegm, and had some ulcers in the back of my throat. And I looked it up, and it was because of the smoke. The smoke inhalation can cause that. I guess I was outside for a bit and when the situation was going on. But I spoke to a physical therapist that I know, and he's really into like the herbs and stuff like that. And he put me on to two herbs that I'm gonna share with you brothers now for smoke, for construction debris, inhalation, anything that has to do with the lungs. These two herbs are gonna take care of you. All right. So without further ado, we're just gonna go into like recap from the news and then some stuff about construction, and then we're gonna get right into the scriptures and then into the herbs.
Not go out. Let's give you a look at what we're seeing down here in Brooklyn Heights. Photojournalist Scotty Pierce is going to show you the skyline from where we are. Those are not clouds that you're looking at, but smoke containing particulates and other matter that can make breathing outside a challenge for many. Now, city officials say the air quality in all 5 boroughs has reached alarming levels, prompting a health advisory for New York City. This, again, as you pointed out, Chris, because of dangerously high levels of smoke coming from Canadian wildfires thousands of miles away. Officials say now, listen to this, the scale used to measure air quality in New York begins around 100. That's pretty normal, containing pollen and things like that. The index last night was 217 and stands the highest in the Bronx at 174 as of this morning. Officials say this is quite unprecedented.
What's not normal is to go above 150. So when that happened, that is something that, has rarely occurred. I think you have to go pretty far back to find a time when we were ever above 200. It may never have actually happened in New York City. We're sort of looking at historical data to see what the precedent is for this.
At the moment, we recommend vulnerable New Yorkers stay inside. And all New Yorkers should limit outdoor activity to the greatest extent possible.
As you come back to us live, of course, when he's talking about vulnerable, the elderly, young people, people with underlying health conditions, particularly those who have respiratory conditions that you need to be aware of.
All right. So, most brothers that was here in New York, and pretty much this thing went viral on social media. So everyone understands what happened here. But brothers that work in the construction trades as well. I was an electrician for a couple of years, and one thing that I noticed is that there is an insane amount of dust associated with all construction projects. So we're just gonna listen to this real quick, and then we're gonna get to the scriptures. Maybe one more video. Yeah, I think he has another good one here in activities that generate construction dust.
It's a fact that breathing in construction dust can cause serious lung diseases and bring about an early death. I see patients every week in my NHS chest clinic with severe lung diseases caused primarily by breathing in hazardous substances at work, including dusts. The lungs are precious to us and only complain in a limited number of ways when something is wrong. Breathlessness, wheezing, and coughing are the commonest signs. When people seek medical help, sometimes horrible-looking chest x-rays and scans reveal the extent of that damage. By the time your lungs complain, it's likely that the damage to the lung tissue is too far gone to repair. And unfortunately, many of these lung diseases are not easily reversible. Lung diseases are pretty much completely irreversible if caused by work. So the only cure to these problems is to prevent them in the first place.
You see, so and he's 100% right on that. Prevention is is the best way. So obviously wearing, a mask and stuff like that, right? But what I'm really trying to get at is proper ventilation and all that. But what I'm really trying to get at is the herbs, right? Using the herbs. All right. So this is Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. And it says, God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all earth. Exactly. So the Lord provided to us, all right, these herbs, all right, that come from the face of the earth. It says, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is fruit, in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Exactly, for us to consume. So he gave us these herbs for us to consume, in different ways. All right, different herbs for different things. All right. That's what he gave us, man. The Lord gave us these herbs to consume, to protect ourselves. This is our medicine. This is nature's medicine. Prior to the 20th century, you know, most medical sub most medic all of modern, or well, it's not modern then, but prior to the 20th century, medicine was largely herbal. It was only up until the 20th century where the Rockefellers introduced petroleum-based medicines and pharmacia and pharmaceuticals. All right, so the herbs have always been the medicine of our people, the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and the people that descend from them. All right, the herbs have always been the way to go. All right, and if you Caribbean and of all the tribes, really, you know that they have this joke about Jamaican. They talk about how the Jamaican hot tea is for everything. A ginger tea cure it all. But even though it's funny, it comes from truth, man. The Lord provided us everything that we need to survive from the earth. Anything else is extra. All right. This is Psalm chapter 104, verse 14. It says, He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and the herb for the service of man. Exactly. That's plain right there. It says, He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle. So the grass grows for the cattle, all right, so the cattle can eat, which goes to show you, perfect example, how, you have these meat companies talking about grass-fed, grass-finished. Well, guess what? That shouldn't even be a thing, man, because all cattle should eat is grass. Meanwhile, you got these people in these factory farms, all right, feeding this cattle corn, giving it inflammatory responses. All right, these cows, and specifically, are being they're getting infections, and they pumping them with antibiotics to prevent them from dying from that infection. And then they slaughter the meat, and then that's what they sell to you. That's why the so-called white man needs to be put to death, man. That's why the so-called white man needs to be destroyed, man. Because here in the scriptures, it's plain, man, written. He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle. So the grass has always been meant as a food source for cattle. All right, not corn, not not feed, right? Like, what is that? What is feed? You do your research into feed, and feed is a bunch of expired donuts and pretty much all the expired dry goods and cakes and stuff like that, even with the wrappers and the plastic and the cardboard. All that stuff is ground up and given to these animals, man. It says, for he may bring forth food out of the earth. Oh, Salakia. It says, he causeth the grass to grow for the cattle and herb for the service of man. So herb is for the service of man. So we need to use the herbs, man. We need to make sure that we use the herbs. And this guy, this physical therapist of mine, he kind of reinvigorated he kind of reminded me of that. I have a constant reminder, which is the brother Ariaba. The brothers call him the physician. This brother is a herbalist. All right. This brother is a herbalist, and I definitely should be asking him more questions as well. All right, but but yeah, man. It says herb for the service of man. It says that he may bring forth food out of the earth. All right. And then it says, and wine maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread will strengthen men's heart. Exactly, man. So wine maketh the heart of a man glad. All right. Oil to make his face to shine, all right, for moisturizing, and bread, all right, to strengthen your mind, all right, to feed you, to nourish you. It says, the trees of the Lord are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon, which he hath planted. All right. So the Lord has given us everything that we need. All right. The Lord has given us everything that we need in order to succeed in terms of health. All right. So, I'm going to end this. I'm going to make this a part 1 just so that the video doesn't get too long. And then we're going to get into the herbs and its benefits. All right. So until next time, shalom.